Hello guys, welcome back to our channel LifeLiyo. In this video, I am going to discuss about different decision making statements in Python. What are decision making statements? Why they are useful or how they are useful? Decision making statements are useful for controlling the flow of execution of our program. And how we are going to control means it is going to dependent upon the condition. Now, how this controls the flow of our execution is if the condition is true, then the true block statements will be executed. If the condition is false, then false block statements will be executed, or if there is no false block, it will simply comes out of the block. Types of decision making statements in Python. In Python, there are three types. Somebody will say as the fourth type. I will discuss that fourth type also, but I may not say that it has another type. What are they? First one, if statement, or you can call it as the only if statement. If else statements, nested if else statement, or elif ladder. Nested if. This is what I said that I won't treat this one nested if as a fourth type. It is an optional one. That's why I have called it as the three types. First one, if statement. What does this if statement helpful for? So, if statement will execute the block of statements only if the condition is true. So if the condition, whatever the condition I have taken, if that condition is true, then it is going to execute the block of statements. Whenever the condition is false, simply it skips the block and moves to the remaining statements in our program. Syntax. How it is going to be represented in our Python. So to represent only if in our Python, we have a syntax that is if space, or we may not give the space, parenthesis condition and followed by a quotation. This colon is compulsory. If you forget to give this colon, then automatically an error will rise. And then after this colon, if you hit enter, it will occupy a 4 white spaces. 4 white spaces, that is indentation. Because all the statements which you write here will be executed only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, simply it doesn't execute the statements. Simply what it will do, it will come out to the other statements in the program. Let us look for the flowchart of this if statement. So you have tested a condition. If the condition is said to be true, then the true block of statements will be executed. Then the remaining statements in the program will be executed. This is the case when the condition is true. Let us assume that if the condition is false, so if the condition is false, then it is not going for the true block. It is directly going to the remaining statements in the program. So that means true block will be executed only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, it is directly going for the remaining statements in the program. If else, the name itself tells that if or else. That is, it checks for the condition first. If the condition is true, then it is going to execute the if block statements or true block of statements. If the condition is false, then it will execute the else block of statements. Let us look for the syntax. So, if condition statement, that means the statements will be executed when the condition is true. When the condition is false, then it will go for the else block of statements. So this is else. If else. flowchart for this if else. First, the condition will be tested. If it is said to be true, that means it is going to execute the if block, that is true block statements will be executed. After the true block of statements, it is going to execute the remaining statements in the program. If the condition is false, then it is going to execute the else block statements. After the else block statements, it is going to execute the remaining statements in the program. This is if else, that is option. If the condition is true, one option. If the condition is false, another option. Nested if else, that is elif ladder. So what it is going to do? So first it checks for the condition. If the condition is true, then it is going to execute the true block of statements in the first condition. If the condition is false, then it is going to check for the another condition in the else block. It is going to check for the another condition in the another else block. If the condition is true there, then it is going to execute the statements in that block. If the condition is false, then it goes for the another condition in the else block. If there is also true, there exists the executes the statements. If there is false, it moves to another block. Until that, it moves to other. Whenever all the condition fails, then it executes simply the else block. That's why it is called as the elif ladder, like this. So that is, it first verifies this one. If the condition is true, these things will be executed. If it is false, it goes to here. So if this condition is true, it executes this one. If it is also false, it moves to here. If checks the another condition. If it is false, it moves to another. Like this, it moves until the else block comes. If no conditions are satisfied, simply the else block statements will be executed. Syntax. Look at here. It first checks the condition 1. If the condition 1 is true, it executes the block 1 statements. If condition 1 is false, then goes to the condition 2 checking. That is elif of condition 2. If the condition 2 is true, executes block 2 statements. If the condition is false, goes to the block 3. Now, if the condition is true in the block 3, these block 3 statements will be executed. If the condition is false, to move to the next one, there is no other option of the condition. That's why it will simply move to the ending at the else. So if all the conditions fail, simply the else block statements will be executed. Otherwise, the respective condition block statements will be executed. Let's look for the flowchart. First condition. If it is true, then true block 1 statements will be executed. And then the remaining statements in the program will be executed. If it is false, condition 1 is false, that means it is going to verify the condition 2. If the condition 2 is true, then it is going to execute the block 2 statements. Then again it is also going to execute the remaining statements in the program. If the condition 2 is also false, then it is going to check for the condition 3. Then if the condition 3 is true, then it executes the block 3 statements. After the execution of block 3, then it is executing the remaining statement. Like that, it checks all the conditions. If none of the conditions satisfies, so then it moves to the else block. What are the statements in the else block? Those statements will be executed. And then the remaining statements in the program will be executed. This is the last one, that is nested if. The name itself tells that nested if. That means an if inside the another if. So an if statement inside the another if statement, that is called as the nested if. So Python allows us for stacking of any number of if statements inside the block of another if. For example, in one if we can insert number of ifs. So these are called as the nested if. That is, one if inside the another if statement. So when they are useful when we need to make a series of decisions, a continuous decision or a series of decisions, then this nested if statement is helpful. This is the syntax. So it first checks the expression 1. If the expression 1 is true, then it checks the expression 2. Then if both the things are true, then statements will be executed. Else of this if will be executed, and then statement of outer if, this one will be executed. After this one, outside of the block, that is remaining statements in the program will be executed. Flowchart. So first condition will be verified. This is condition. If the condition is true, then it goes for the body of if. If the condition is false, then it's going to need nested text expression. If there is true, then nested if, or false, again it goes for the else block. Like that we may keep number of ifs inside the another if. Let's look for some programming examples. So to write a program, we can't directly do in the Python shell, so we have to open a file. So for that one, at the left side top corner we have the file. Click on new file. Now it is going to open like this. I am going to take a variable x equal to integer type. So to do that, we have to typecast int of input enter x value. So I will check that if x greater than 5. So look at here. When I put the colon and then when I hit enter, then it took the 4 white spaces as the indentation and the blinker starts here. I will print x is bigger than 5. So save file, save as any name. I will take some name. So to run this program, go to the run option at the top and click on run module. Look at here. This is the input command, input function waiting for the value to be entered by the user. That is the input function. If you don't enter the value, the remaining part will be stopped the execution. Now, if I enter 12, that is x is bigger than 5. That is 12 greater than 5. True or false? It is true. So it prints that true 12 is bigger than 5. Again, if I run the program, now it is asking me to enter the x value 1. Look at here. It doesn't do anything. If, only if means if the condition is true, then only the block of statements are going to be executed. If the condition is false, it will come out and it will try to execute all other statements. Here I haven't mentioned any other statements here. So I will take the print of other statements. Now I will save this one and I will run again. So if I enter the x value of 5, what is the expected output? So 5 greater than 5. True or false? It is false. That means this block is not going to be pre-executed. So the remaining statement is only the print statement. That is other statements is the answer. Yes, other statements. Next, again if I run this one, if I enter as the 12 greater than 5, true or false? True. So x is bigger than 5 will be executed and then the remaining statements, other statements will be executed. X is bigger than 5, other statements. Next example is if else. So for this one I am going to check whether a number is even or odd. So I will take an integer value int of input enter x value. So whenever you enter the x value, it is going to, if x x mod 2 equal to 0, then what I am going to print? Even. Else print odd. Now I will save this program, run the program. So enter x value. So if I enter 15, yes, 15 is odd. Why? So after entering the value 15 mod 2, 15 mod 2. So what is the result of 15 mod 2? It is 1. 1 equal to 0. So the result is false. So whenever the condition becomes false, then it is going to execute the else block statements. What is the answer in the else block statement? Odd. That's why 15 gives us the answer as the odd. Let us assume that if x value is 18. So 18 mod 2. 18 mod 2 is equal to 0. 0 equal to 0. It is true. So true means the condition is true. So whenever the condition is true, it is going to print the true block statement, that is even. Now run again. 18. Yes, even. So this is if else. If else means first checks the condition. If the condition is true, true block statements will be executed. If the condition is false, else block statements will be executed. Next, else if ladder. Now check the biggest among 3 numbers. So I will take that a equal to int of input of enter a value. So then again I am going to take the b, I am going to take the c, b, c. Now first what I will do is, if a is greater than b and a is greater than c, that means it is going to check the condition called a greater than b and a greater than c. If that the thing is true, then it will print that a is big. Elif b greater than a and b greater than c, then it will print that b is big. So it checks the conditions of the b greater than a and b greater than c. So if both the conditions are true, it is going to print the big, b is big. Elif c greater than a and c greater than b. So if c is greater than a and c is greater than b, then it prints that c is big. If none of the cases conditions are true, then it is going to execute the else block. So print of sum of them are equal. Now save this one, run. Now it is asking me to enter the a value 10, 12, 12. Can you expect the answer for this 10, 12, 12? So 10 greater than 12 and 10 greater than 12. A greater than B and A greater than C. So A greater than B. False. I am taking the shortcut. And false. False and false means the answer is false. Whenever the condition becomes false, then it goes for the checking the another condition. Now 12 greater than 10 and 12 greater than 12. 12 greater than 10. Yes, true. And 12 greater than 10. Sorry, 12. False. 12 is equal to 12. It is not greater than. So the answer is false. That means this condition also fail you. So it moves to the another condition. Here it checks that 12 greater than 10 and 12 greater than 12. So that means C is greater than A, C greater than B. So C greater than A true and C greater than B false. So again false. That means this condition also false. If all the conditions are false, then what is the statement or what are the statements they are going to be executed? Only in the else block. So what are the statements in the else block? Simply a print statement. So the answer is some of them are equal. Some of them are equal. This is elif ladder. If you run again, so enter a value 10, 12, 11. Now 10 greater than 12, false. 10 greater than 11, false. That means A is not big. 12 greater than 10, true. 12 greater than 11, true. True and true, both of them will give the result as true. That means that it is going to execute the statements in the condition 2. That is B greater than A and B greater than C. So the answer is B is big. This is B is big. So these are about the elif ladder. Next one is the nested if. So I am taking that A equal to int of input of enter x value. So if A greater than 50, then I am going to check again. If A greater than 50, if A less than 100, print A lies between 50 to 51 here, 51 to 99. Else print A lies between 51 to 100 or above. Else print no values. So I am going to save this one. I am going to run the program. So if I enter the x value, sorry, I have taken the A and asking x. I will take the A and I will run the again. So it will asking for the enter A value. So if I enter the A value as 101, here 101 greater than 50. Is it true or false? Yes, it is true. That means it is going to check for another condition, that is 101 less than 100. Is it true or false? It is false. That's why it goes for the else block. So what is the answer we are going to get? A lies between 51 to 100 or above. Look at here. A lies between 51 to 100 or above. If I take the same thing and if I run the program and if I enter the value as 95, that means 95 greater than 50, true. 95 less than 100, it is also true. So the answer is A lies between 51 to 99. This one I will take invalid. So if you run this one, if I enter the answer as the 92, A lies between 51 to 99. Then if you run the program again and if you give the value of 30, 30 greater than 50, is it true or false? False. So the statements in the if block are not going to be executed. So what it is going to print? Simply else block values, that is invalid values. 30 invalid values. So this is the nested if. So nested if means an if statement inside the another if statement. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel LifeLiyo. Thank you.